Yeah, gang, I'm just waiting to get into the live room here, and once we do, I'll get the faces up and all that. It should be a lively panel. Welcome, 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 welcome. It's Saturday. I hope you guys have been doing well. So let me mute this mute the crowd. Dundee Doug, nice to see you. Eric, hi. JC Nom, hello. Dylan Bowser, welcome, welcome. Dear Mouse, hi. Brew Crow, hello, hello. Oh, I think they're pulling us in. Okay, I think we're here. Hello. Can you hear me?
What's up, Wick?
You know. Just trying to get everything captured so everyone can see us. Everyone doing good today?
Doing all right. How about you?
Well, we haven't quite started yet, so I guess we'll see.
There we go. Hey, can everyone hear me?
You're low,
A
but
little
yes.
Gotcha.
Y'all hear me? Yeah, I should be.
It's not my panel, gang. Don't judge me for this.
Okay. What's up, Bullet Escape? Good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Ain't nobody say hi to me. Fuck me.
Sorry, I'm still making sure all my
Hi to everybody.
Logic, Ethan, Escape. I'm Corbin. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I think the only other person I don't know is Beck. I think you're muted. Your audio's off.
Yep. This is my first time doing one of these. Sorry. Yeah, I'm Bex. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
What's up?
I think I got everything set up.
Hi, Alice.
Just to make sure, like, oh, sorry, my mic isn't like low, is it?
A little
Kinda
bit,
low.
I think. Yeah.
Still missing a few people, right?
I don't know who else is supposed to be in here. I think Anne was supposed to be here.
And welcome to the RGR Roundtable. I am your hostess, Riley Grace Rochong, and these are our wonderful panelists. Say hi, wonderful panelists.
Hi, wonderful
What's
panelists.
Hi, wonderful panelists.
We've got a couple of Dropout fans in there. So we're for our panelists tonight, and for the people who are watching, this is the fourth show in this series. Tonight, we actually have primarily left-leaning panelists, and that is by design, so that we can debate and discuss how to better operate as a political movement. Again, I also have a new official website where you can support my work, so please visit RileyGraceRochong.com to check out cool merch and to consider making a generous donation. With that, let's get into it. Here are the rules for tonight. Number 1, if I'm talking, stop talking. I don't want to participate, so if I get involved, it's either to simulate conversation or to get things back on track. Number 2, at least be respectful of me. You can hate on each other, but I'm putting in a lot of work to make this happen, so don't make my life harder than necessary. And number 3, stay on topic. Related tangents are fine, but don't dig up any unrelated personal drama. And that's it. With that, let's go around and have our panelists briefly introduce themselves. So I'll go one by one through people, and we'll go ahead and start with Politascape. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Politascape, or you can call me Josh, left-leaning YouTuber that started about, I don't know, a little over a year and a half ago. Happy to be here.
Great, thank you. Up next, She's Right. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm She's Right. You can support me at she'srightshow.com. I love democracy. I don't like violence, and I want a country I can be proud of.
Wonderful, wonderful. Next, we have there is a panelist who will be coming a little bit late. She did message me earlier, so we'll have her do an introduction later on. Next, we've got Wick. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I guess so. Wick from Wick TV. You see me around. You know who I am.
Cool. Next, we've got Logix. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's up? I'm a liberal content creator, Logix. I do a lot of political conversation, social commentary, and debunking.
Cool. Next up, we got Ethan. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Howdy, I'm Ethan. I'm a liberal content creator, and I try to have a focus on masculinity. I think the left has a really bad, I'll say, lack of masculinity, and I think that sort of aesthetic is very much needed. But I'm entering the debate space, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you for joining us. Next, we have got Corbin. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Howdy, yeah, I'm Corbin Sales. You can find me on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram by the same name. I do center-left political coverage and debates, and I started a few months ago, and yeah, here I am.
Awesome. And last, we have Bex at On the Line. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca. A little bit about me. I am a Marine Corps veteran, a mom, a trans woman, and a center-left liberal. My day job is technology, but I am super passionate about politics, so I'm trying to dip my toes into the world of political writing, commentary, debate, and content creation. And you can find me at unaligned.sh. So yeah, great to be here. Looking forward to talking with everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, the topic for today is whether we should respond to Republicans with inflammatory rhetoric, especially in regards to events such as Charlie Kirk's assassination and recent examples of inflammatory rhetoric, such as what was used recently by Destiny. Also, I do apologize. I wasn't able to get him on the panel. I did reach out to see if he wanted to join, but I just didn't get a response back. So that's why he is not with us tonight. Per my request in the Discord server, I'm going to begin with the people who reached out to me beforehand to request opening statements, and then I will ask if anyone else would like to make one before we launch into the main discussion. So first, She's Right. Would you like to give an opening?
Sure. I believe we're all in agreement on the general problem here. We want the violence to stop. Then we have to get practical about the actual causes of violence and the actual solutions of violence. If anyone thinks the most relevant or clear or causal factor here is the rhetoric of the left, that is a fundamentally irrational and unproven position. We're seeing far more people criticize jokes about Charlie Kirk after the fact, but we are not seeing any evidence, despite a whole FBI investigation, tying any leftist rhetoric or ideas to the cause.
Great, thank you. Up next, we have Ethan. Would you like to make an opening statement?
Yes, thank you. So I believe going exactly tit for tat is not the correct move. To win, we have to appeal to centrists who are willing to be swayed by our messaging. And the success of a political party is going to be dictated by three parts: the contents of their message, the method of distribution of that message, and the aesthetics of that message. Conservatives, they seem to have mastered all three and have a baseline advantage in the message aesthetic. For example, a conservative arguing on George Floyd's murder. The content of that message is George Floyd was a violent criminal who had a fentanyl in his system and most likely died of an overdose. Violent convicts are bad. The left is rioting, supporting a violent convict. Therefore, the left is bad. The right streamlines this narrative, makes conspiracies, and calls it a day. But with George Floyd being a black convict, he's an outgroup or minority. Intuitively, the public is much more accepting of making fun of minority suffering, like alligator Alcatraz merch, immigration deportation, ASMR, George Floyd challenge when that was trending. These are inflammatory topics and are celebrated by conservatives. These topics haven't enraged the public anywhere near as Charlie Kirk's death and the celebration of that. This is the baseline advantage that conservatives have in their message aesthetic. That's what I'm talking about. They represent the in group. Since they have that advantage, the left has to be extremely careful in how we handle our messaging and the inflammatory parts of it. I would argue that the left's lack of inflammatory statements have made it look weak. Inflammatory statements gain a lot of traction. Look at the president, look at the Conservative Party. The most strategic move for the left is to use inflammatory statements on the most intuitive messages that we can get. For example, everyone clearly condemns Charlie Kirk's death, but why can't the right own up their own extremists? In a debate setting, this is a perfect example to set up either A, the right to disavow their own violence, or B, humiliate a bad faith conservative, which optically looks amazing. The best example being Destiny debating Owen Schroyer, when Owen Schroyer refused to accept that a Proud Boy had broken into January 6th. He wouldn't take that bet, and that made him look weak, and that makes the left look strong. That is why I believe we should use inflammatory rhetoric. We need to be very careful on how we do it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ethan. And then lastly, as far as the people who reached out to me beforehand, Rebecca, would you like to make an opening statement?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. So my general position is that most people probably agree on so much more than we think we do, but it's kind of a natural outcome of the attention economy and social media algorithms that were just incredibly polarized. And I want to say the authoritarian right, they've had a big head start in crafting this really sophisticated disinformation network. And I mean, I think everyone here has seen the pattern. There's like a damaging story comes in, the Epstein stuff with Donald Trump. For a day or two, there's kind of this I don't know, disorder among the MAGA side, and then just out of nowhere, everything just kind of snaps into place, right? And everyone has the same talking points, from the podcasters to the guys on Fox News to, shit posting Twitter accounts to even, meme accounts on Facebook or whatever that are, kind of distilling these things down into bite-sized little slants for the audiences there. And they just have a really, really good lead in this front. And I think that is somewhere that the left could really benefit from organizing to do. Right now, I feel like the left is just very disjointed. I'm sure a lot of people feel somewhat similarly. It's hard to get us all to kind of coalesce and agree on, on a strategy. So I think that would be important. Obviously, that requires organization, that requires funding, but I think that is one way forward to kind of winning this information war that we've been neglecting to fight for the past decade of Donald Trump.
All right, thank you. Now, those are all the people who reached out to me beforehand who requested to make an opening statement. I'm fine turning it over, but is there anyone who really pressingly, I got to make an opening statement right now? Is there anyone else who would like to, or I could just turn it over to y'all? I'm not seeing anybody.
Let's open up the pit. Let's go.
All right. It is open to the panel. Y'all can take it wherever you would like to.
Can I just to get a temperature check here? Does anyone think that Destiny's rhetoric around the Charlie Kirk assassination is an effective form of attack here? Can we get a...
Yeah.
Did you say effective? So. Ineffective or an ineffective?
Effective. It's working.
Effective to what end?
Yeah.
To actually winning elections.
Yeah.
I think it's a net positive.
So we got one thinking it's a net positive, and she's right.
I think it's electorally.
Is that your hand up or your thumb up? What's going on? I can't. Okay, so about 3, maybe 3.5, something like that. It's really hard to tell.
Like a split panel.
I'm gonna just
Are we saying Destiny alone doing it, or if the whole Democrat Party were to do it collectively?
Well, why do you think that only Destiny's doing it?
Great question.
Newsom isn't doing it. You don't see AOC doing it. You don't see any of these other politicians who have whole teams behind them that study these things.
Because we would look.
Why do you think it is
unhinged.
that only? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What did you say, sir?
Sorry. I said because we'd look unhinged. That's why they're not doing it.
Yes, that's
but
why.
Destiny's not running for office.
But he is used as a representative of the left. Look at his appearance on Piers Morgan. Look how Fox News pedestaled him. Look at how every single right-wing figure is pointing to his rhetoric and showcasing it and saying, this is what the left is saying. Why do you think they're doing that?
Yeah, but if it's not Destiny, if it's not Destiny, it's a blue-haired college student with 12 Twitter followers.
Sure.
To be
Like-
fair though, like if it's a blue-haired like rando, we can say like, bro, that's a blue-haired rando. Like, who cares about this person?
Yeah, but the issue is that the right uses those blue-haired randos to condemn the entirety of the Democratic Party.
Do you think
And
that that's as
kind of-
effective as them using someone like Destiny, though?
It probably has a
worked.
bit
It's
more
been
weight
working.
when it's Destiny.
It's been that way.
What do you mean?
That's
it's been
true,
working?
but
It was,
So I
let's
think-
attack the blue-haired college kids. Let's attack the trans people. Let's attack the random people that make a video making fun of somebody's death on the internet. It's like we keep seeing the same pattern, and I feel like this is a tactic that hasn't been used. And I know that a lot of people weren't even energized enough to go vote because they feel like Democrats have been weak. And I think he's that representation of people that's just not being weak for once, like not
Yeah,
doing
I think-
anything.
because the right has such a stranglehold on the messaging ecosystem for our
Yeah.
political system, it's such a tight, coherent message from top to bottom that we need something strong enough rhetorically that it can pierce through that bubble. And I think Destiny has done a decent job at that. I don't know if I would take it quite as far as he did in some spaces or in some ways, but I think it is an effective strategy in principle.
Can you point to, well, again, though, if you think that this is effective, why is it that, again, every single mainstream Democrat, every politician, every influencer, aside from Destiny, I should say, disagrees with you? What do you think? What do you think makes him correct when literally every single other influencer and politician on the left is wrong?
I don't think they're
Honestly,
quite
that's
as
because we're talking
I don't think
about
they're
it.
quite as rhetorical. Well, I don't think they're as rhetorically shameful as shameless as Destiny.
I know it's effective because it works, because we're talking about it, because it penetrated an otherwise safe space of a media bubble. This is the same reason the liberal media constantly successfully reports on Trump's message. And this is how propaganda spreads and how memetics work. Even if you don't agree with the message, if you hear it a lot, you're more likely to believe it. That's how
But,
Trump
I
has
mean,
made.
But just because we're talking about it doesn't mean that it's necessarily working. I mean, we talked about like Trump's controversies for like
it
ever.
is-
It did work. He got him elected.
right? Like
He's the
Oh, sorry,
president
okay,
right
I think I
now.
might be. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, we're not MAGA either. We do not corral behind a single individual like the MAGA movement does. I don't think you can say just being inflammatory is going to get us there, right?
Why?
Just like with us, what we're trying to replicate what Charlie Kirk did is certain strategies that work. It's not like, hey, let's just be dicks to everybody, necessarily. But
Sure.
if there's strategies that's working, I don't see why not implement
I mean,
them
like-
because, yeah.
Wait,
go ahead.
I mean, that Donald Trump won in 2016, and like, what was his strategy going into that first
To not be
election?
Hillary
It was-
Clinton. Hillary Clinton was one of the
it was-
worst candidates
it was
we've
to
seen.
pierce
It was a
it was
very,
to
very
pierce the
bad idea to
establishment
run
bubble.
her in the
Right?
2016
It
election.
was to pierce the bully establishment bubble, right? To take down the woke, hypocritical Democrats who control the narrative on everything, right? Well, now Republicans are the ones with the narrative control, so we need something equally as effective at piercing that bubble.
Here's a problem with
Okay,
this.
but what happens?
Go ahead.
What happens? Say our elected officials, they adopt Destiny's strategy. How do you think that plays out?
I don't think they should. I'm not advocating for the people running for office to behave like Destiny. I think they should behave like Gavin. I think Gavin's doing it perfectly correct for the position he's in. I think they should take a page out of his playbook, but not Destiny's. They have a different purpose.
Yeah, I
I think
believe-
Gavin Newsom's doing it good. I think Destiny's a bit more. It's a more extreme version of Gavin Newsom, right? Because even though Gavin is bullying people right now, it's generating conversation, right?
It's not just
Yeah,
about.
I agree with you
Oh.
guys. I think there's two separate things going on here. We've got the creator world, which taps into a certain type of people, a certain type of market. And then when you've got your elected officials, obviously, I think if they adopted Destiny's strategy, I mean, they would just look unhinged. I think it would be a losing strategy. I think
I
that's
don't know
all I
why it
had
would
there.
be a losing strategy when Donald Trump does it all the time and it's very successful for him. He looks fucking crazy.
He
Have you seen him
lost
on Truth
more than
Social?
he's
He
won.
looks
Like,
literally
let's
insane.
get rid of this myth
Well-
that it's working for Donald Trump. Look at his poll
How
numbers
good?
right now. People are running away from Donald Trump's messaging.
He-
People
It
are
doesn't matter,
running
it's
away
still
from
wrong.
every single policy
I mean,
he has.
after two
He won in
presidencies-
2024 simply because of the whole Biden bullshit where we kick someone out 3 months right before the election. That's the confounding variable here. So let's just get rid of
Well,
this
that
myth
certainly
that
played
it's
into
working for them. It's not.
Where did they get the
Yeah,
message
he's
that Biden
severely
is bad?
underwater.
Hold on, we got a couple of people.
On every single issue.
She's right, Bex, and then Anne, were you speaking? No, all right,
I
Bex.
think, I don't
She's
know.
right.
That Trump was clearly good enough to win. And you're saying, no, people just didn't like Hillary. People just didn't like Biden. Yeah, where are they getting those conclusions? Because it's not from data. It's from messaging. It's from news. It's from the whining they do constantly.
Yeah, like how many meme compilations did you see from like posted from like Matt Walsh or Michael Knowles or Alex Jones or Candace Owens, where they were making fun of Joe Biden's like stupid fucking agape mouth and stutter.
But remember, it isn't just that they made fun of Biden or that Biden may have been a bad candidate for 2024. It's that we ousted him 3 months. Talk about looking weak, right? Talking about looking weak as a party. To get rid of your incumbent 3 months before the election without even a primary or anything like that, that made us look terribly, terribly weak, and it is one of the major reasons we lost that. Trump didn't win so much as the Democrats lost. And remember, the economy had a lot to do with it. Incumbents around the globe lost in 2024. Yeah. So again, this kind of childlike look at politics and recency bias of, oh, he won once, so it must work. Look, we've won in 2018, we won in 2020, we won in 2022, and we did it by being moderate.
I mean, let's also look at like other
being moderate that made us do that win. What?
Well, I'll give you one example. In 2022, one of the strategies that the DNC employed was during the Republican primaries, they promoted the more extreme candidate. So the MAGA guy who's mouthing off the worst, the DNC funded their candidacy so that they would win the primary. And in the cases where they won the primary, in most of those cases, they lost the general election. The general electorate punishes this kind of behavior.
Wait, okay. When you say extreme candidate, doesn't seem like you're talking about rhetoric. It seems like maybe you're talking about positions wise. There's a difference between having extreme positions and extreme rhetoric.
It was both. Look at Carrie Lake, right? That's the one I can think of off the top of my head, right?
Which was it
extreme rhetoric, extreme positions.
Which was it more due to? You're not controlling your variables.
Sorry.
So can you say it one more time? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Which of those two was it due to? Because you're not controlling your variables anymore.
Certainly, it could have been both, or either, or one, or the other.
Or either.
But there is no evidence, and I want to say this really clearly: zero evidence that extreme democratic messaging works or rhetoric works. There's none. There's zero evidence.
Well, what do you mean by extreme rhetoric? Like what?
The example we're using tonight is Destiny's rhetoric. Refusing to disavow Charlie Kirk murder until the president disavows it.
But he has. Like, I don't know why people keep saying this. I don't know
because he keeps saying it on Piers Morgan.
Well, yeah, that's what he keeps on saying when he's in front of other conservatives, maybe in a panel and things like that. But I think haven't we all agreed that our elected politicians shouldn't take the same strategy that somebody like Destiny? Are we all in agreement there?
Yeah, I want to hear more discussion on that. Actually, yeah.
I think what's happening right now is Logic. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like I said, I think that politicians should adopt what Destiny's been doing. Like, we're not gonna act like Trump wins when he wins off of policy. I think objectively, policy on the left is better than the right. And we don't have the rhetoric that Trump had to win. Now, I'm not saying let's be complete douchebags like them, but we need to give them a taste of their own medicine. And even people on their side is seeing it now, especially with this whole ABC thing, that these people are hypocritical and don't stand for anything. Like, they're tearing themselves apart right now. And I think that I don't mind punching them while they're down, because it has to happen.
But okay, I think maybe it'll be helpful to understand what you guys mean by inflammatory rhetoric, because I don't think that there's anything wrong. I don't think it's necessarily inflammatory rhetoric to call out their bullshit, right? I think it's perfectly fine to call out the FCC and their authoritarian coercion, their mafioso kind of tactics to get Kimmel fired. I don't think that's inflammatory, but I do think that stuff like celebrating Kirk's murder, or stuff like what Destiny was saying on Piers Morgan and in my show and in other shows and other venues, is inflammatory.
But
No, I
but
agree.
yeah, I
So
would say,
I
like-
think what the play is being inflammatory about the right thing. So, for example, I think that celebrating Charlie Kirk's death is something that is optical suicide, essentially. But in relation to like Charlie Kirk in like his debate style, he was very inflammatory. You know, liberal owned compilation. 568. This is so inflammatory. It's humiliating to these
yeah,
people. It makes the
racist
left look so
thumbnails. Like,
yeah, right. And the thing is, it was inflammatory to the right audience. They knew how to cater to that. Now, clearly, inflammatory things gain traction. It gains attention. It's just a matter of doing it on the right message. That's what I would argue.
And I think the right audience matters too, because I mean, Destiny going on a big show like Piers Morgan, where a more normal and maybe not so politically engaged viewer might be watching, and they see this guy on the left like, oh no, I'm not going to disavow the murder. And it's like, if you're plugged into politics, if you know who Destiny is, you're like, okay, yeah, I understand what his position is, and I understand why he's not outwardly saying what they want him to say. But when you're addressing normal people who are either apolitical or maybe just slightly political, just disengaged, who don't really care about politics, but all they care about is how is my life being affected by who's president right now? Biden was in office and people, the economy sucked. I don't think that it was Biden's fault. I mean, he was kind of dealt a shitty hand with COVID and he did the best he could. I think that his policies ended up being actually really great in getting us out of, a potential bad recession. But I think I tend to agree with Wick when you said that uh, those kinds of factors drove a lot of people to vote for Trump this time, or just sit the election out. A lot of people. I think that since we are so plugged into politics, we're kind of living it every day. It's easy to forget the normal people who are just super disengaged. Like, I don't know about your Facebook friends from back home, but everyone just kind of tries to ignore all the crazy shit that's happening right now. And you talk to people and they're like, oh, I don't want to get into politics. So yeah, I think when you address the disengaged or apolitical, you need a bit of a softer touch. When you're talking to these like provocateurs and propagandists like the Matt Walshes or any of those people, then yeah, I think inflammatory rhetoric against them is good because their audience is already primed
Call them slurs.
to
Yeah. Okay.
Sure,
No, you
I
should.
don't
I'm
even think
not
that-
kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not kidding.
Don't do it on
Match
here.
their
Don't get
energy.
me.
That's
Don't get me taking that for
fine.
TOS,
Yeah,
please.
that's fine,
so
right?
I-
But
Yeah, so I would agree with
Yeah.
what Beck was saying, that there, like I said, we do need diplomacy, we do need civility from our leaders, because the right wing isn't the only base that we're messaging to. It's also the moderates and our own base, right? So it's probably not good if Gavin Newsom came out and said, I'm not going to condemn the murder of this political activist until the president does. That would be bad. But I think we still need to more aggressively, I think, like memishly bully the right into good behavior, because obviously being diplomatic isn't
when
good
has
enough.
that worked?
I don't even think it's about
Bullying
bullying
the
the right
right?
into being good. Like, you're not going to get good behavior from the right. These people are literally degenerates. Like, there is no morals on the
Yeah, I
right.
know,
I
but-
want that to be extremely clear. So, like, what you should be trying to do is make the left look cool again. Like, it's so fucking lame to be a blue-haired liberal these days. Like, nobody wants that. Like, it's so, like, that's why you have the whole persona of the crazy liberal with blue hair who's just screaming and yelling. Like, this is why Destiny looks that way. And I don't care too much about his rhetoric. I care about what our politicians are pushing. And right now, what they need to be pushing is, this is the policy we want to promote. This is how evil and fucking sadistic Donald Trump is. And this is how much money he's taking from you and hurting you in the end, and focus on that. And that's fine. Whatever rhetoric they have to do to get that across, if it needs to be scare tactics, propaganda, I don't give a shit at this point.
No, but
Like,
because I feel like the left has been so rhetorically cucked like the last 5 to 10 years that the right has been able to bully, push further and further and further, not just rhetorically, but policy-wise as well.
The last
And
5 to
it's
10
because there
years,
doesn't seem to
we have won more elections than we have lost. I want to be clear about that.
okay.
Yeah, but they.
So-
I think he's
Five
still
to 10
saying
years.
that they control the media, right? Is kind of
To
what
an
he's
extent,
Yeah,
saying
like-
and pushing.
to an extent, but this
Yeah, 'cause
often
we
will
need-
drive people away. Look at the polling that just got released today from what was the polling? Atlas Intel, an A+ poller released polling today about the midterms coming up in 2026. 51% to 43% in the Democrats' favor. That's almost a 10-point. It's an 8.3 lead in the Democrats' favor, and they overpolled Republicans in this poll. Look, all we got to do, and I want to stress this real clear, all we got to do to win the midterms, which should be goal number 1, is be fucking normal. That's all.
Yeah, but
You don't
be
we can't
fucking
just
normal.
wait for MAGA to lose. We have to actually force change, because when Donald Trump is out of office, right? It's like the Republican Party has been so fundamentally changed that even when he leaves, I don't know what's left afterward.
And not only that, we know that
Like,
Poland is
we're in a
because of how bad Trump's
system.
policy has been. It has nothing to do with rhetoric. Like when you keep saying we
Yes, it
won,
does.
it's because Trump is such a fuck up, and just people, I don't know, forget, and they like, oh, I want something different. Well, let's just go with this guy again for whatever reason. It's not because of rhetoric.
I disagree. Illogics, and I'll tell you why I disagree. Because people are seeing every day these Trump patsies, if you will, right? They see what Carr says on Benny Johnson, plagiarist extraordinaire, right? Benny Johnson,
But
who
that's
can't do
policy,
his own fucking
right?
work, right? They see libs of TikTok, they see Matt Walsh's, they see these Tim Pools, right? And they don't like it. It's turning them off. This Charlie Kirk thing, where a lot of them are trying to make mourning him mandatory, it's actually, honestly, kind of working in the left's favor because they're so heavy-handed about it, right? So I think that a lot of this rhetoric is turning them off.
Yeah,
you name people with like 1 million+ followings on like YouTube and stuff like that. When you say it's turning them off, I don't know who. All those people you just named, don't they have like at least 1 million subs? Like
from like fucking Russia, China, right? Un-American, like
maybe. I haven't looked at what they views match. To be fair, I don't know if the views match it, but they have a huge following.
Yeah, we can't take a passive back seat to the right's failure, right? Like we have to kick I don't know who said we should kick them when they're down, but we absolutely should kick them when they're down, right? Because we have to establish something beyond MAGA. We have to help the Republican Party realize, hey, you guys are fucking retarded.
Yes.
And here is the immediate consequences for it. You need fucking change on your side.
But no, I 100% agree that we need to put a very large magnifying glass, a focus on what the right is doing and how they are fucking up. But it's an unforced error when people like Destiny take away from that and instead make it into the news cycle where now everyone's talking about the gross shit Destiny said instead of what the bullshit that the right is saying. It distracts, and it's we have won no one over. Destiny has won no one over with his comments on Piers Morgan. That did,
you think
did
that's really
zero
true? You
good.
think it's zero people?
He's getting a lot of support. I'm not gonna lie.
From people who already
Piers Morgan was
supported
the loss, I would say.
him.
I feel like
We
the
didn't win
equivalent right now to
anything.
Destiny, I feel like the equivalent right now to Destiny is Jimmy Kimmel. The right threw such a fucking hissy fit over Jimmy Kimmel's statements, which were pretty innocuous, all things considered. I was actually surprised. He had other comments just beyond the ones that stirred controversy. He unequivocally condemned political violence on both sides. I was actually surprised that he was explicitly calling out people on the left who were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. But the right fucking bullied the fuck out of him anyway. They if you can go watch Benny Johnson talking with Brendan Carr about how, he's saying that Charlie Kirk deserved to die. So-
She's right. I know that you
the
had
left-
your hand up for a second. Real quick, Corbin.
Sorry, go ahead, Corbin. Corbin can go.
I was gonna say, like, they do it I don't know if Destiny's taking away from that, because like I said, if
course
it's
he
not
is.
Destiny that's getting dragged through the mud by the Republican Party, it's a no follower, blue haired
But these
like
are
land whale
these
with
are
a
different, and
ear piercing.
they're different in two aspects. The first aspect is that Destiny is a much larger figure, so it makes much more sense, and people believe people more when they say Destiny is representative of the left. And second, it makes Destiny less effective. More people are just turned off because they know he said these things. And if he
Jimmy
had
Kimmel
not
is
said
a
these things, he would be a
huge-
more effective figure than he is. And I'm not saying he's
What's the
ineffective
reach of
now.
Jimmy Kimmel?
He's just less effective than he could have been. But I'm talking too much. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, Dwick, you are not at all questioning what you consider to be normal and the ways in which that is shaped by the media and the worldview you consume based on what you're exposed to. He made apologies for Biden's handling of the economy and ignored the fact that it was one of the best economic recoveries in history from the pandemic, lauded by economists around the world. But you've given into a propagandistic narrative of what's normal and good enough, produced by the right, and you have not challenged that at all. Even here, you're like, oh, Destiny should be accountable because he's a bigger figure, but you're not talking about the president of the United States, whose magnitude's bigger. You're parroting talking points without questioning what those narratives are, and are setting unfair terms of what is
So
normal.
did
Normal
the
is
right's
associated with
narrative
things
get
for the taking.
every single incumbency except for maybe India in the world getting fired from their jobs basically and unelected, right? Their opposition got elected. Is it the right's narrative that did that, or is it the fact that whether or not we had the best recovery doesn't matter, the economy still wasn't as good as people wanted, and so they punished us for that?
Right. That concept for what is good enough or what people wanted is that expectation of normalcy, which you're letting the right shape for you.
I'm not letting the right shape for me. What I'm doing is saying we need stronger messaging to make sure that we're not talking about the bullshit that one of our unhinged influencer says, and instead we're talking about the bullshit that Trump is doing right now in office, how he's using the FCC basically as a loaded gun against ABC and other broadcast networks for even criticizing him. This is what we should be talking about, but it's harder for us to do so when they can play a clip of Destiny saying, I think right-wingers should be afraid.
They should be.
First of all,
do you think that's effective rhetoric?
How much
I'm fucking
do you know
afraid.
that they've taken people out of context intentionally?
Do you think that's effective rhetoric?
I'm afraid.
I'm
Yes,
saying-
I think
listen,
these fucks
but
should be
listen-
afraid to keep saying what they're saying.
And not
I
only
don't think it's
but
effective
about it,
rhetoric for that.
If
Terrible line.
Destiny wasn't Destiny, he would. This is no shade to Brian Tyler Cohen because I like him, but he would just be like a Brian. And I'm not saying it's something wrong with what Brian does because I like his content and I like what he's doing. And he's more professional with his stuff, and he gets more exposure with the candidates and whatnot. But if Destiny wasn't doing this, people would think that we were still these weak people that's just like letting ourselves get run over all the time.
Gavin Newsom. Does anyone think Gavin Newsom's weak right now?
And the plus of it is that Destiny actually can argue what he feels. That's another thing too. It's not like he's just this random person is just screaming all the time. When he is unhinged, he can back up why he's unhinged. Even with the Piers Morgan thing, even if I take my bias off, when he was arguing with them, they couldn't answer anything he said, and it looked embarrassing.
It didn't look embarrassing because all they had to do was play his clip of him saying that that he's not going to condemn the violence. They don't have to play the rhetoric or the games around it. That line in and of itself was like a own goal. It was unnecessary and it did not help. We won 0 votes and we lost how many? Who knows how many from that? It's just unnecessary. We don't need to. There are far better lines of attack that won't make us feel weak. It's just unnecessary. This is my frustration, and I know I'm talking a lot, and I apologize, right? I don't mean to suck up all the oxygen in the room. This is my frustration. You guys are like, and I'm going to be inflammatory here, so, you guys are like NPCs, okay? You are reacting to what MAGA says and does, and you're dancing on their puppet strings. They're basically controlling your emotions and what you do. Don't let them do that. Cut those strings.
You're the one reacting to the narrative on Destiny that the right has set.
Yeah, Wick, we're in a two-party system. Rhetoric is a two-way street. We can't think about we can't just think about, okay, well, is rhetoric effective for our next election cycle? We have to think about it also in terms of how does it fucking fix our country? How does it help stir self-awareness in the other half of the country that's completely moved away.
Do you think Destiny is
from any
stirring
American
self-awareness in the right now?
I think
why are we even engaging with it? It's not even
the bubble.
I think a
it's
more
not even
interesting
honest
question.
rhetoric, though. Sorry,
I think a more interesting question is how effective, if you were to win a debate, right, using inflammatory rhetoric or not using inflammatory rhetoric, what overall looks better? I would argue that assuming you're not unhinged, but you still do use some form of inflammatory rhetoric such that the opponent looks humiliated, I would argue that is much stronger. It's one thing to end a debate by saying, okay, we politely disagree, especially if you're going against someone like a bad faith actor. But if you're going against a bad faith actor and you humiliate that person, that ultimately looks so much better. I think the best way to achieve that is through inflammatory rhetoric. I think what Destiny did, that was not the right use of inflammatory rhetoric, but I would not discredit the usage of inflammatory rhetoric just because of that situation.
I mean, you can even take clips from the tour stop that you guys just had, Ethan. Like the guy who like came up and was being fucking psychotic and schizo and yelling at Steven about, oh, you fucked the dude, oh, you sucked the dick, blah, blah, blah. And everybody just bullied him. Republicans and all the MAGA people who showed up to debate Steven literally bullied the fuck out of this guy because it's embarrassing. We should be working on embarrassing the fuck out of these people.
I agree.
I don't disagree with that, but let me give you the Destiny's rhetoric around not turning down the temperature is embarrassing us, like that guy's rhetoric embarrassed them.
Why
I would
is that?
agree
I would say
with
it's
that.
probably a net loss
I
what
don't
Destiny did.
Yes, it's
Look, there's a
absolutely.
difference between-
Incessantly screaming slurs and insulting people for the sake of insulting them, though. I don't think that's fair to compare the two.
What I think would be interesting, and this is the hard part because Democrats would never do this, but like in a hypothetical world, I think it actually would be effective if every single Democrat did come together and say, we will only do it if Donald Trump acknowledges the horrors, of things like January 6th. But the problem is he'll never do that. But I think it would ultimately bring it to light. But how realistic is that? I don't think that is realistic.
I think the first
I think it's actually pretty realistic with the government
Republican
shutdown
vote.
coming up. I think we should make it a condition of the government shutdown. I
We
think
can
that
do
was a
that.
really good idea. I don't remember where that came from.
Destiny came. That was a good idea Destiny had. I'll give him props for that. But we don't need to fail to condemn the violence, right? Or make that a condition. We can say, hey, Trump, you haven't condemned the violence yet. Look at Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi Hassan had a, I think it was Fox News or maybe it was Sky News, one of those. He went on and he did it pitch perfect. I disagree with Mehdi Hassan on a lot of his foreign policy takes, but his rhetoric and his style, he was able to hold Trump to account and push on that narrative, and he was still able to disavow the violence, to commit to turning down the temperature, all of that, and it was just far more effective. Look, I don't care about how I feel. I want to win. I will do whatever it takes within the bounds of morality to win. I don't care if I have to look like a cuck or whatever for a year or so. I don't care if it makes me win. I will do it to win.
Wait, can I tell you a secret? This whole stream, I've pulled up the CIA's sabotage field menu for the tactics they use to specifically slow down and derail the Axis powers in World War II. And what you're engaging in, the demands you're making, like a bingo card, are meeting like half of this shit.
For a war against the Nazis?
Yes, this is how the CIA found ways to sabotage the efficacy of any movement. And these are the tactics you are using now against liberal causes.
Name one. I don't know this.
Sure. Managers and supervisors demand written orders, misunderstand orders, ask endless questions, or engage in long correspondence about such orders. Quibble over them when you can.
Okay, I have not done that. I take issue with your.
You just said we have to denounce. We just have to we have to go out of our way to denounce this. Like that's what that is. Like you're demanding extra work and extra claims be made. You're adding to that pile of work. That
pile of work.
It's
a second. I denounce the violence. Why hasn't Trump?
Seconds add up. Why isn't Trump?
Okay, I
that's
don't.
A good question,
that's not a serious.
Trump, right?
That's not a serious criticism. Come on.
That is not actually that all of our politicians.
Hold on. Are you honestly burdened by the need to say, "Hey, I denounce the violence. Why hasn't Trump?" Is that a burden to you?
But I just feel like he's done that.
It's
and
unnecessary.
It's not fair to
That's
keep bringing
the point.
up the peers thing as if he didn't denounce it. But it's specifically when he's in that type of setting where he's like, no. I mean, like I just saw a montage of him like denouncing political violence, and then even at the debates he just did in Colorado, he's constantly saying like this isn't okay and it shouldn't be happening. And it's just like I don't know if this has to be this specific quote that everybody wants for him to say, like I denounce Charlie Kirk's killing or whatever. But regardless, on Pierce, I don't know if it was just me. I felt like Pierce and them looked stupid. I do think it was was a little cringe when Destiny was like, why hasn't Trump, when they flat out asked him, because he still ended up saying like, I don't think anybody should be doing political violence or whatnot. And then it's like, nobody cares about that. They just didn't hear this specific quote. And that's not even, it's not fair. And Wick, I love you, but I'm like, why are you not acknowledging the fact that he actually said that?
Because it's not about what's fair, it's about what's effective. I don't care if
This
it's
is
not
specifically
fair.
effective.
I am ruthlessly determined to be effective.
That's what I mean by fair.
Maybe
He
it
did what you
depends.
said.
Like maybe if you're in a room full of conservatives, don't condemn it, but condemn it otherwise, like to your base
No,
or to
condemn it.
No, I
Just
disagree.
condemn it.
I think it
There's
should be
There's
condemned.
no value in not condemning it. There's no value. You gain nothing.
But
I agree.
Except
my
looking like a
problem
cuck,
is
You
just
lose
saying
by
he
the way.
didn't condemn
You
it
don't
when he
look like a
did.
cuck by saying I
Control.
disavow violence. Why hasn't Trump? You don't look like a cuck.
But that's-
I
agree.
just reject that.
I'm with Wick on this.
All
I
right,
feel
hold
like
on.
this
Quick
is something.
pause. Or sorry, go ahead, Ethan. Finish your statement.
Oh no, yeah, I feel like saying that, yeah, I disavow it, and why can't you? I think now it puts the ball in
It's
their court,
stronger.
and then you can point to that and say, look, now you're the unhinged ones. And again, you can do things like make a bet, like, hey, who was the first person that broke into the Capitol on January 6th?
I don't know
It's easy bet
who's-
to win.
I don't know. I don't know if it was Hutch or somebody. They was like, but even when you do it, they still. You see how Andrew
They don't
treated
care.
Anna. Like it doesn't matter. I don't know why y'all like getting rolled on. It's just like
Anna
Destiny-
Kasparian
Destiny
deserves to
would've
be
said that,
rolled
but
on
I guess
because
I
she's
condemn it.
super ineffective rhetorically
right.
for a whole host of other reasons. Okay,
No, you're right. You're right. But what
Right?
I'm saying
Like-
is, if Destiny still would have said that, we're not gonna sit here and pretend like Piers and Andrew was not gonna lay into him even more.
But it's not as
And again, we
effective
keep
when they
saying he didn't
do.
condemn it, and he did.
Okay, it's like
That wouldn't have been the message that came out of it. If he had denounced it, the conversation wouldn't have been about Destiny refusing to denounce political violence at that point, right? I mean, it would have been something else, but it wouldn't have been this unhinged kind of hill to die on. Because I mean, denouncing it is just table stakes. It's so easy. It's the easiest thing to just start with.
But how many times do we have to denounce it? Like he denounced it. Like
As many
you could be
times
like
as
condemn,
they have.
condemn, and they don't give a shit. These are bad faith actors. Why would you? If
Yes.
somebody comes to you and says,
did it the day
"Look,
it happened."
your argument is that the sky is purple and that's why we should vote for Donald Trump." And if you're like, "That's not my fucking argument. What the hell? Why would you even engage with that person? They're clearly insane."
because there are other people
they're
watching
just
that
crazy people.
conversation
We've
and
seen this
judging
play
it. This is a
out.
problem also
Jimmy
with
Kimmel
this.
unequivocally condemned the violence, and the right still fucking chewed him out
I
for
don't
it.
care.
Again,
They
we're
got
not
him
talking
fired.
about the MAGA cultists. I don't think we're ever going to win a MAGA
Destiny was
cultist
on
guy
a
over.
panel
with
I'm not
MAGA
looking to win the
cultists.
MAGA cultist guy over. I'm looking to win the
60%
audience
of
over.
the-
Well,
I'm looking
that's
to win the
that's what
moderates
we're
over.
talking
I'm
about.
looking not to look. The danger here isn't that I think that Destiny or people engaged in his rhetoric are going to make a lot of people go to the right. I don't think that's true. But I think it's going to make it harder for the normie, the uninformed, to see a difference between the right and the left. And I think we need to make sure that they can. My worry is that they're going to go a pox on both your houses and then stay home like they did in 2024. I don't want to see that happen.
So
They're making you waste your time to please imaginary people because you will feel guilty and go through all that extra unnecessary work. They would only think the Democrats are violent in the first place because the Republicans are telling them that, and then you are echoing that.
I don't.
Helping
It's not unnecessary work.
Else,
This framing
I
is so
think it is
wild to
good
me.
to-
I am saying I disavow the violence. Why hasn't Trump? That's not only is it not unnecessary work. It makes my argument more effective. It makes
I
it
agree with
more
Wick.
powerful.
And
Yeah,
also remember,
yes,
we're
I
trying to
agree.
appeal to the centrists here, right? Because that's how we're going to win the elections. Like someone said earlier, the MAGA cultists, these people are a lost cause.
Wait
right?
a minute. If we're, I'm sorry if I cut you
Okay,
off.
no,
Ethan.
You're fine.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
you can't just say that the MAGA cultists are a lost cause. That's like half of our country.
No,
I was
gonna say,
what I
hold
was
on.
going to
Do you
say
know
was,
how-
wait. If we're
Go
talking
on,
about
logic.
appealing to the center or the center people, is that the term you said?
Yeah, centrists.
Center. Do you really think what Destiny's doing is worse than the shit going on the right? If that's what we're
No.
going to compare it to?
No,
And yeah,
the
if it's
right
worse or
is.
not, isn't necessarily
the right
relevant.
is
It's a question of
worse.
it's effective.
But we want to keep that distinction clear. We don't want to adopt the tactics of our enemies that fail them.
We're not.
Why
I
not?
don't
did
think
you-
he's
okay.
done
Because it
anything
fails them. These
in
are
the-
failing
in the
tactics.
gauge of what
They
the
don't.
right is doing.
Okay, the only time we lose
They won
is
the White
when
House.
moderates
They
can't
won
tell the
House.
difference.
What are you talking about? An effective tactic. It worked.
It only worked because we kicked out our incumbent, who, for someone no one voted for in the primaries, and we had a global issue with inflation that every incumbency got punished for. To act like it worked, it didn't work in 2022, it didn't work in 2020, and it didn't work in 2018. Come on, get rid of your recency bias and look at the bigger picture. Pull out your view to 100 yards instead of
There's
just
so many reasons that
focusing on a
Kamala
tree.
lost that it's so many reasons on top of one another. And again, we only won all of those because Trump is a fuck up. That's why. It's not. I don't think in this world, in this media world, us playing coy with everybody is just not gonna cut it. I don't see how
we don't have to play coy. We just have to keep from making unforced errors. That's all we got to do.
I have a question I want to ask the panel. Corbin and you two wanted to say something. Go ahead if you want to finish your thoughts. And then I have a question for the panel on this.
Okay, I was just gonna say, if Donald Trump had toned down the rhetoric all the way to zero, like he never uttered another mean nickname again, I don't know if I still don't know if he would have won back in 24. I don't know.
Okay, and you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. The majority of the Republican Party is MAGA. Do you realize that 70% of the Republican Party is MAGA? We're not trying to win those people over. We need to make those people look fucking insane like they are. Because if we're trying to win centrists over, we need to go as hard as possible on those people and go, look, these are literally like people who should be locked in a fucking asylum. Why are we worried about them? Why are we worried about like not hurting their feelings or whatever? I don't think centrists give a fuck. I think if they look crazy, they look crazy.
So on this, all right.
Yeah.
Let me ask a quick clarifying question, because basically, so take myself partially out of my role just to tell you kind of where I'm at, because I'm of a split mind on this. I generally hear where Wick and others are coming from, that it is relatively easy to be able to say, we condemn the political violence and then be able to go on and say whatever you want to XYZ after that. That seems a relatively easy thing to do. I'm also thinking, because now as I've been recruiting for the panels, as a general rule, if you're trying to get platformed or trying to pierce the alt-right or the far-right media bubble, it is a lot easier to get onto those kind of shows or panels if you're willing to take the more inflammatory positions, right? Destiny is often able to get onto these kind of panels, from my perspective, because he's willing to take much more radical positions. Like, they're not looking to recruit people who are going to say reasonable things. So I guess I'm curious, Wick, I know that you talked a lot about the utility of this kind of rhetoric. Well, what do you think, and what do others think of the utility of this kind of rhetoric? Because it gives you the opportunity, at the very least, to pierce that media bubble, whereas otherwise you might not be able to.
So I think that if you're all you care about is your personal bank account and your personal clout, then absolutely be as extreme as you can, because that does work. It does give you attention. And gang, the algorithm does not differentiate between good attention and bad attention. It measures them the same, okay? You're going to get paid the same amount per click, per view, whether they hate you or whether they love you. It does not matter. But when it comes to winning elections, that is where the general electorate, again, consistently over time, right, as we've seen in election after election, tends to punish extremism. It just does.
Can I ask? I'm sorry. I don't want to participate. But then
that's fine.
I think this goes back to the really interesting discussion earlier of like the distinction between influencers, people who operate exclusively online, and electeds, people who are running for office, right? Like, do you think that there could be a reasonable distinction there then? Because sure, Destiny might be catching a little bit of negative flack, but at the end of the day, he is going to keep going, right? Other people who use that kind of rhetoric are going to keep going, right? He will not be affected. His bottom line will not be affected.
He did get demonetized. But
I think that he has gotten like more subscribers. Yeah, there is the argument that it could lead to demonetization.
That's beside the point. I get what you're saying though, and I'll just answer really quickly if I can.
Yeah.
I think that look, I think that Destiny in general is one of the best debaters we have. He's very, very rhetorically effective in a debate. He's very, very quick. He's very, very intelligent. He's well researched on these topics. And that's why I don't like it when he sabotages himself and sabotages his effectiveness, because now there are even more people who will not listen to him no matter what he says or how right he is, because he made this unnecessary inflammatory comment, and it just turns people off. They close their ears, and I don't want to see that happen. He made one of our tools. He basically shot himself in the foot. He made one of our tools less effective, and he should face condemnation.
What rhetoric
for that.
do you think? What rhetoric do you think was working for Charlie Kirk? Was
But
it
I
like
think it
peaceful?
depends
We
on the
should condemn
setting,
violence.
though.
Like, I don't even know. Well, it was clearly working at the last Unfuck America tour stop, because you had people who were like Republicans taking his side when there was like a crazy Republican shouting him down. But the problem is, okay, like what rhetoric do you think worked for Charlie Kirk?
Charlie
Do you think
Kirk,
he
it
got
wasn't the
by by,
rhetoric,
like,
it was
saying-
the clips. You see, when Charlie Kirk debated anyone but a college
What do you
student,
think the
he
clips
lost.
are composed of?
That's yeah, like all of them are him being super inflammatory, humiliating these people, and that's extremely effective.
And Destiny is particularly good at this. I think there's a good argument to be made that somebody like Destiny, I can take your point, Wick, that, you know, the right can hold him up and maybe it'll carry a little bit more weight just because he is a bigger influencer on our so-called side. But I also think Destiny does a really good job of piercing these different media circles, getting into different audiences than maybe somebody like Gavin Newsom or name your other politician. He's good at breaking into these circles and bringing people over because he uses similar or more inflammatory rhetoric.
Well, do you think the
Kinda
same?
build off of what
Do you think the rhetoric of Charlie Kirk making fun of some college kid for being for having bad rhetoric, or just making fun of them in general, do you think that's the same type of thing as refusing to condemn political violence right after a political assassination? Do you think
No,
that's
but
the
I
same?
think that if you look at all of the rhetoric that they did about Nancy Pelosi and Paul Pelosi and the Hoffmans and the Hortmans and all those other things, and Next Benedict, they made fun of a 12-year-old who fucking killed themselves.
When was the- when was
works. It
the
demonizes
Paul
trans
Pelosi,
people, it's
remind
all
me?
sorts of things. Oh fuck, I don't even remember.
What was it? 21? I forget.
I don't remember. It was a few years ago.
Let
But
me
what
look.
was the setting of all this drama? I mean, what are we talking about? This was Twitter, or was it in the mainstream? Because I feel like the general public that's not super political probably didn't see this crazy stuff about, the Paul Pelosi, which, I mean, disgusting, obviously. And you asked
Okay.
about how that rhetoric worked for Charlie Kirk. There's nothing wrong with inflammatory rhetoric, but I think it depends on the setting, right? You need the right message in the right setting at the right time. And someone brought up Mehdi Hassan earlier. Mehdi
Yeah.
Hassan is so good at delivering the right message in the right place. So, I mean, when you're on Piers Morgan, maybe try to be a little less unhinged. Still, you can still be inflammatory, but I feel like you need to be strategic in how you use that inflammatory language.
But nobody
So I-
cares how inflammatory Andrew Wilson is when he goes on Piers Morgan. Nobody cares about Jay Dyer going on Piers Morgan. Like nobody.
Jay
cares about
Dyer
their
and Andrew
inflammatory
Wilson are
rhetoric.
net negatives for their party. They turn people off from the right more than they bring people in.
Why do you think the Whatever podcast gets so many fucking views?
Okay, I don't care about views, I care about votes. They're not
they
the same.
influence
They're
the
not
vote.
the
We
same.
literally
Stop
didn't have
conflating
to
them.
energize
We're having,
to vote.
we're having two different discussions in this debate right now. We can have a discussion on how we, one, pierce the Republican bubble, and two, how we do well electorally. I think rhetorically speaking, it's good for the Democrats, especially the leadership, to condemn political violence because it signals to our own base, and then it also signals to normies and moderates. But when we're talking about piercing that Republican bubble, that very terminally online, like weird Donald Trump, like alternative media sphere ecosystem, I think piercing into that apparatus has to be where we apply pressure and apply inflammatory rhetoric.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, my
Yeah,
in-laws, as
that's
an
what-
example.
that's-
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so I think
Bully him,
I
talk
think
over
that's what
him.
that's
anyway.
what I like about what Destiny's been doing. Again, some of it I don't know if I would quite take as far as him, but when he's on a conservative panel with a bunch of MAGA apologists like Piers Morgan or Andrew Wilson or Anna Kasparian or Jack Pacific, when he's on a panel in front of those people, and those are the same people who are supporting a guy who pardoned 1,400 insurrectionists, I think it's okay in that situation to go, no, I'm not condemning the political violence until you fuckers hold up a mirror to yourselves.
People, as soon as you say I'm not condemning political violence, no one hears what you say after. No one.
Okay,
I don't think that's necessarily true for like these young men who swung towards Trump in the 2024 election. Do you think they give a shit?
Why do you think that they swung towards 2024 to Trump? Why?
Because they made the right look cool.
Because of Charlie Kirk, and because they had the cool vibes going on through TPUSA and
it's
other.
Because a lot of them
things
were
like that.
convinced. A lot of them were convinced that the left didn't give a shit about them. Okay, and
Yes,
they were convinced through the right-wing media apparatus. The right-wing media apparatus is very effective. I won't lie, and I won't tell you that that's not true. But the question is, why is it effective? It's because it has multi-millions of dollars pumped into it, not just from domestic sources, but outside sources. It has bot farms from Russia and China, and it is flooding the zone, right? They are simply louder than us.
Yes.
Yeah, but Destiny.
And when we try to make a similar apparatus,
similar
apparatus, the people from our left decide
He's broke
to
into
bite our
the
ankles.
zone.
The
and drag
people,
us down.
yeah, the crazy lefties, they attack it. Yeah, I
Which is
understand.
a
I'm
problem.
with you there. That's
Okay.
stupid. But don't you think Destiny is appealing to some of those young men who did swing, who maybe don't give a shit about you condemning political
I think
violence?
that Destiny overall is one. I said this before. Is a very effective debater, a very effective rhetorician, except for when he engages in these bullshit, self-sabotaging comments, not just to the one that made about Charlie Kirk, but about those kids drowning in the flood, and about the first Trump assassination, right? I know people personally who would watch Destiny, who were going towards Destiny's side, but as soon as he had that conversation with me about Trump's first assassination, they won't ever listen to him again. It doesn't matter what he says or how effective he is.
I don't even think that that's true. The people who weren't going to listen to him weren't going to listen to him in the first place.
Nope, that's a mistake.
Any clip that my mom is going to show me on Facebook is not going to be political pundits condemning violence. She's not going to be like, wow, look at Matt Walsh here on Facebook. He's condemning political violence. Oh my God, what a great guy. She's going to show me the video of Matt Walsh making fun of trans people. She's going to show me the video of Matt Walsh making fun of Nancy and Paul Pelosi. It's never going to be him condemning political violence because they don't care about that. Or else they wouldn't have voted for the person who didn't condemn political violence, like Donald Trump.
It's not enough to condemn political violence for the right. You have to completely and wholly agree with them, and then kill yourself afterward just because you voted for a Democrat to begin with, right? Like, there is no reason to be diplomatic with Republicans.
I disagree. I think like Mehdi Hassan's done an incredible job of like disavowing it, but then still moving on to point out the hypocrisies on the right. I love Mehdi Hassan's take on it, and also he does it in such a almost surgical way. I think that should honestly be the example that the left takes moving forward, still disavowing it, but then putting it back on the right.
Yes, we don't have to.
I agree that Mehdi Hassan is doing a super good job, but do you think he's hitting the same demographics, the same groups, the same circles that Destiny is? I highly doubt it.
I think he probably would get a lot more centrists
than Destiny. I think that they're both two sides of the same coin. Like Mehdi is attracting the people that want to be informed and don't want to see somebody screaming, but he's a great debater, just like Destiny. But Destiny is gonna draw, like, I know Mercedes is like the cliche example, but you see she's somebody that left the right because of Destiny. So I don't think it would be impossible to get somebody that's left leaning but felt like we were weak to come to this side because of Destiny.
The demographics that Mehdi is hitting are the ones that vote more often. Okay, it's a much more effective.
Those people.
Hold on, can I just get a temperature check? Just a temperature check. Who, if between in this instance with Charlie Kirk, who do you think, if you had to pick one, whose messaging has been more effective overall, Mehdi Hassan or Destiny? I think that for me, it's Mehdi Hassan 100%.
I don't know.
I can agree that Mehdi has probably been more effective, but it has.
So let's do the more effective thing. That's it. That's it.
Well, come on. We can have a multi-pronged approach, right, Wick? I mean, we've got to have different.
One of the prongs can't be stabbing us in the chest.
And I feel like Hassan was net negative.
Hassan has been more effective.
One pause. All right, pause. I have a question for the panel. I guess, like, as a general question, so how do we define effectiveness.
How
are
many
we talking about
people
electoral
show up to
votes?
vote?
Optically, are people gonna side with you more? Like, I would say that, like, if you were to gain 1,000 votes, but then lose like 3,000 votes, right? Like this is net negative. That's how I would say what's effective or what's
Well,
not.
I
Yes.
think
Not
that's
Destiny
necessarily.
isn't making somebody say, "I'm
going
gonna not
the
vote."
moderate and the
I don't.
center.
I don't
think
see
we all
that.
already agree on that. I think we're
I
talking
agree with
about
that.
how do we
Logic's-
pierce the Republican
I don't-
vote. I think.
Yeah, like nobody's gonna hear Destiny and be like, "Wow, I can't vote for that side." It doesn't make sense. Like they're either gonna
they're not gonna
be
vote
like,
for it
"Oh
anyway.
well."
Hold on.
Ed
There
Warren-
might be
I
a
feel
step
like
closer
most
to think that the left is unhinged, crazy, trans Tifa. Like,
Wow.
murder
Well,
all
you know what they'll
conservatives.
say
that
in their
easy, you
you
weren't
know
gonna
what they'll
vote
say?
anyway.
They'll say, "Man, Destiny isn't disavow this lefty. They probably wouldn't even know his name, right? But this leftist crazy guy isn't going to disavow violence. Wow. And I don't care if both sides are the same. Might as well stay home." That's what they'll say.
You know they do that.
that-
They did that to Mehdi Hassan. Did you guys follow that Ilhan Omar getting censured shit?
I'm not
I didn't
familiar.
follow it. I
Wait,
heard
she's
it
getting
failed.
censured?
Or they're trying to censure.
Yeah,
Ilhan
didn't it
Omar,
fail?
even though she
Wow.
categorically condemned the
Disavowed.
violence. And
Yeah, but didn't it fail?
What was wrapped up in that? What was wrapped up in that was she went on to Mehdi Hassan's show, and people like End Wokeness and all these other like big conservative accounts are saying, "Oh, look at Mehdi Hassan and Ilhan Omar, who are saying that Charlie Kirk deserved to die," even though they clipped like a 15-second. They took it out of
Yeah,
context.
they're gonna clip it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much
That-
you condemn it. It only
Yeah,
matters.
unless you're part of the MAGA
bluntly-
orthodoxy. Yeah.
That's
it
one
only
thing,
matters
but then
how
saying that you
bluntly
refuse to condemn political violence until the other side does it. Now, I agree though that like I think ideally that kind of rhetoric would work if all the Democrats came together. But saying that you refuse to condemn political violence, that I feel like that's too low on the
Again,
bar. I feel like that doesn't.
This
I
is
wouldn't advocate for saying that
so
you should
mind blowing to me that you guys
I-
think you know better than literally every single Democratic politician. Literally every single one. Literally every single Democratic influencer aside from Destiny of his size, right? They are all doing it the Wick way. But I guess
And
Destiny
they're
wants to be
all-
edgy and double
they're all
down
still
because it's
getting
good for his
blown-
numbers. I don't
None
give
of
a
them are, and they're all still getting blown the fuck out by the Republican Party.
Hold on. We're projected
Not
to
right now.
win in 2026
Yeah,
doing
we're-
it the Wick
yeah.
way.
No, yeah.
No, I'm not talking.
Okay,
we're
so
not talking
we're
about
projected to win. Do you think
electoral.
Destiny is going to
We're not
make it
talking
worse? I don't
electorally,
see
we're
that.
talking about how we pierce the Republican Party.
I
Yeah,
guess
we-
one
we
question
gotta
I want to
distinguish
ask.
I
between
think
these things.
electorally we all agree
Hold on.
on rhetoric.
There's a couple of people
Well,
talking.
to
Okay,
kind of-
so Ethan and sorry, Politicate, both of you had questions and logics. Did you have something that you
No.
want to say? Okay, so Ethan, go ahead.
Thank you. So one thing I want to make sure that we, I guess we remain in scope is right now, are we talking about specifically Destiny's rhetoric on that? Or are we talking about inflammatory rhetoric in general? Because I would argue that his usage on that probably wasn't a good idea, but inflammatory rhetoric when used,
Sure.
in a proper way, like
Yeah, I
populism,
agree with you.
it's just a tool. It's very sure. Okay,
Look,
so yeah, in that case,
So
then,
like in inflammatory rhetoric, it depends on the inflammatory rhetoric, right? Like it depends. And it's really hard to
Well, and
answer
we
that
also keep
question because inflammatory rhetoric means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But we can use the reason I'm focusing on Destiny is because, well, RGR brought that up as an example, and it's a specific segment of rhetoric that we have seen so far, and we've seen it be used by Elon Musk and the other side, right? And the reason that they're platforming it and posting it and sharing it around is because they know it's going to hurt the Democrats. They know it. That's why they're doing it.
I still think we need to distinguish between. I feel like we keep on bleeding the lines between piercing different MAGA circles or conservative circles versus what we want our politicians to do. I feel like we keep on bouncing back and forth over that line.
Yeah, let's.
Well, the rhetoric for JD Vance is obviously working right now. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen the like charliesmurderers.com or .org or whatever the fuck the
Oh, dude,
website is called.
insane.
Like
That's gonna
we have
backfire on them
official
so hard.
politicians You think that's going to backfire
Oh,
on
yeah.
them? They're calling these people terrorists.
Yep. And
You don't think that rhetoric is effective?
do you think
Every
that
time we
the
call
hold
somebody
on,
a
hold
terrorist,
on, I want to
it
address
works.
I wanna address
Ann
them.
real quick.
No,
I
it's
want to address
effective
Ann
for
real quick if I
MAGA
can.
probably, but for the normies,
Yeah, for-
or
yeah,
the
for the normies,
centrists,
it's gonna
I
turn
think
them
it's going
off.
to backfire
For the
for
normies,
them.
MAGA are the
we
ones who
all
won the
agree that's
election.
Pat.
Barely.
Ooh, barely. What was
That's
that?
all it takes.
Barely
MAGA
won the
winning.
election. They won a plurality, but
They're 71%.
Do you think that
Yeah.
the cancel culture of the left
the party.
helped us when we engaged in that? Do you think that,
No,
that
but
it
also,
made
why
us
are you-
people
Cancel culture.
want to vote for us?
No, of course
No,
not.
but
But
what does
Of
that have
course
to do with
not.
cancel
So
culture?
But
again, when you
Democrats
see the
know-
right pick up this tool and start beating themselves in the head with it, I rejoice because
No,
it's
but
going
every
to
time
work
you
out
get
to
to call
them
somebody a-
like it worked
every
out
time
for
that
us.
you get to call somebody a terrorist and there's no pushback against that, then that rhetoric becomes effective. Every
Hold on,
time, look
there's
at the BLM
tons of
protest.
pushback
They got
against
to
that.
call. They did that with the No Kings protest. They did that with BLM. They got to call those people terrorists, and so long as they could label immigrants and black people and women as terrorists, then they
Who
got
won the
away with
2020
it.
election?
well,
Well, what the fuck does this have to?
those protest
God.
movements.
What
keep
the
on
fuck does
growing.
winning
Each and
elections have to
every
do with
one-
rhetoric? I don't know. It's the whole reason we're talking
He won 'cause
today.
Trump fucked up. I keep saying that. Like, I don't know why you like.
It's
act
just
like
an
that's not what's
incumbency
happening.
bias.
In 20
Yeah,
Okay.
there's an incumbency disadvantage this past
Okay,
past
in
election.
2020,
So are
look,
we talking
hold
about-
on. Trump was the incumbent in 2020, and the incumbent presidency has the advantage going into the
Yes.
second term.
Doesn't?
That's why most
That's
incumbents
historically and statistically not
win
true.
re-election.
Yeah, they do. They have the yes, they do. They've got the upper hand. Incumbents.
You have an
That's why we
incumbency
didn't-
disadvantage.
The
It's because
incumbency,
he
hold on, the
fucked up.
incumbency
Historically.
disadvantage comes in with midterms. So the midterm coming up, that's where the incumbency disadvantage comes in. But for getting re-election, the incumbency advantage is for the president. That's just
Well, you
true.
can look
Yeah,
at
it was
every
it
single.
was
Sorry,
Okay,
go
now let's
ahead.
look at every single one. Bush, who won the next one? Bush. Obama, who won the next one? Obama. Clinton,
Yeah,
who won the
it's
next one?
very rare for
Clinton.
the incumbent
Reagan, who
not
won
to
the
do
next one?
2 terms.
Reagan. Right? Like, let's look at it. Let's go.
You can see
One
the
thing I
last
wanna
few
point out-
elections. I think
Well, we
politics
won on
has
COVID.
radically changed since the first Trump presidency. I don't think we're
I
seeing
think that's true,
that
too.
same pattern right now. And we're not even seeing it just in the US. We're seeing this like globally. Like look at Germany, look at Europe.
wild.
I want to
swings
say
back
something.
and forth.
Imagine if Trump actually wasn't totally brain dead, right? Imagine if he was rhetorically, as savvy as he was in 2016, but also knew like at least somewhat good policy making, right? I feel like then he could have been almost unstoppable, but thankfully it's not the case. But yeah, the
Yeah,
use
he's
of
incompetent.
yeah, like he's just insanely stupid. So I think that logic's. I think for the most part, yeah, we probably won 2020 thanks to Trump being a total fuck up, honestly.
Well, yeah, COVID had a lot to do with that one,
It,
right?
it didn't
But-
help him,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah.
Who here thinks we're gonna win the midterms and probably 28?
Yeah.
Well, if there's
Well,
free
it's real.
elections,
Okay,
right?
I won't. I won't speak
Yeah,
to
yeah.
2028. That's
If
too
it
far
goes
away.
well.
But
I think
if
that's
nothing
something.
changes,
So I think we're all in agreement.
if nothing changes,
electorally.
2026, I think we got this. Okay.
Yeah. I think we're all relatively in agreement electorally. What about what I think is important to talk about is how do we save the other half of our country?
MAGA?
Yeah, like how do
Information
we,
exposure.
You don't.
yeah, like
Well,
that's-
MAGA's not
I-
half
How
of
do we
the
do that
country,
though?
right?
How do we do that when they're blind? I mean, I think you're right, but like, I don't know how we do that.
Everybody
I
can't
think
go.
it's important to
Rhetoric
pierce
they
that
report on.
bubble right now while they're in power.
Do you know what the most effective persuasion technique is? It's to build a relationship. It's contact theory. Are you familiar with contact theory? The more you hang around
Yes.
with someone, the more you engage in cooperative activities with them, right? The more likely they are to see you as one of them, the more likely they are to listen to you. What's the most effective and persuasive thing isn't debates online, though that's helpful and there's different reasons for that, right? But it's sitting down with your right-wing buddy and saying, hey, man, look, I know you voted for Trump. That was kind of dumb. But I love you, man. And look, I think we can get past the woke shit and we can go into X, Y, and Z. And I think this is why whatever candidate we happen to have in 28 is someone you should vote for, man. Look, Trump's obviously
You know,
not
Nick?
working, so you should vote for the Democrats this time, buddy. That's more effective than any kind of debate.
Has that ever worked
or
for you?
anything like
So Wick,
Yes!
Talking about true MAGA for that,
Yeah,
because
like,
as
that's
a
what
guy
I'm
in
saying,
South
like,
Carolina, that doesn't work. I've
That
tried.
does not work.
I think
I've tried that,
The
man.
MAGA cultist, at least. Yeah.
It's not going to work
You
100% of the
does
time,
work,
but it's
though?
the most
Making them look
effective.
weak.
It's
That
just the
works.
most effective strategy that
Wick,
we
I
just
think
know
that
this.
was an
There's
effective
data on this.
strategy 20 years ago. I
Yeah.
think
What?
our political landscape is so altered. Like the MAGA move, the Republican Party is so far gone that it's there's.
So what
no
should
other
we
way
do with
to- there's
them?
no
If
other
you
way
can't
to
the secret.
persuade them, what do you
You
do?
bully them.
Well, we need to look at why is it that they love Trump to
in
begin with.
one
It's because
language.
he
It's
was the
being mean.
symbol of masculinity, right? He was a symbol of strength. You know, he was epic and based and he owned the libs, right? But if Trump were to be humiliated, especially in, we could say, inflammatory ways that were accurate, right? That were logically consistent, but still ended up making him look weak, that I think would be an incredible way to make
Yes,
people
that's
leave
perfect.
Trump.
Yes.
I am
Anytime
very
that you
worried
talk to a
about
Trump supporter, why do
2026
they tell
now
you they
again.
like
If this
Trump?
is your guys' strategy here, just bully
Any-
them.
Do you not think
That's
that's
not
true,
going to
Wick?
We're
work.
not talking about electoralism right now. We're talking about how do we
Yeah, to
how do we bring
persuasion.
how do we-
Persuasion. Bullying. When's the last time you were persuaded because someone bullied you?
We ain't
Wait,
never
you're not
lived
trying
in
to
this
persuade-
era.
I was
We've
bullied
never
into
Trying to
lived
persuade
in
this
this
Okay.
I was bullied into
landscape.
being a liberal. I was the only conservative, like the only
Okay.
Christian conservative at my high school, and I was bullied hardcore for it.
No.
Here
Hold
I
on.
am. I'm based
being
like
ousted,
five.
yeah.
I'm based 7 years later. All right.
All I'm saying is, like, imagine, like, if we had compilation after compilation of conservative gets destroyed, conservative gets owned by, you know, epic liberal, right? I feel like that would sway so many people and it would make them essentially start to challenge themselves.
agree,
That's what
because-
sucked so many people into the, like, alt-right libertarian bro pipeline.
Before
That's
I
kinda
really
what I was
got
getting
into
into.
YouTube politics, I used to see those clips of Ben Shapiro, and I'm like, damn, like everybody's stupid. I'm like, it's Ben Shapiro, like, so he is so smart. And then once I saw past the clips, I'm like, this motherfucker don't know what he's talking about. Like, so like that shit do work, except I think we're actually on the right side of history this time. So seeing people get embarrassed like that can sway you. You don't want to be on the losing side. And I think that the right
Don't
has
wanna be
not looked
embarrassed.
like losers optically for a while now.
And the
I think
issue is
there's-
that they are
ahead.
so organized, though. I mean, they have a lot of big money backing their creators. I mean, they're very, very organized. It's a sophisticated system that
You
they
mean-
have
you mean
going
Russia,
on.
right? Russia back
Well,
in the creators.
I mean, you know, yeah, but I mean, in any case, it's very sophisticated, and they have. I mean, it's very centralized. Their messages go to. They're all so synchronized with every single talking point, and that's very hard to kind of
Yeah.
achieve.
And here we are
naturally
fucking
unless we
debating
have
this.
backing.
Here we are
I
debating
know,
our
right?
messaging.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Berkeley.
Yeah, we need someone to tell us what
We're
to
catching
say.
up.
Apparently,
Well,
If
we're
you guys would
catching
just
up.
listen, we'd win
I think
every
it's
time.
good.
But you guys fight me for some reason. I don't know why. You should just again get
But
in
Wick, I
line,
think
fall in
we're
line,
also in a
and let me
different-
win
we're
for
also
you.
in a different
That's all.
environment right now, though, because it's not business as usual at the top anymore, right? I mean, we're seeing they're cracking down on freedom of speech quite literally. I mean, they have yes men in every single cabinet position. And yeah, I think that in a normal political environment, that would backfire with the electorate. But when they are now able to control quite literally everything, it's a little worrying, and it makes me wonder.
Very worrying.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a report just yesterday from Ken Klippenstein that the FBI is being recommended by the Heritage Foundations to designate every trans person as a nihilistic,
that.
violent
That's
extremist.
absolutely a terrible, horrific thing that people need to be
Yes.
concerned about. We should fight against legislatively. But I don't know if, like, this is one of the reasons it's very important to have good persuasion, to have good rhetoric, because we need. Can we all agree that like 2026 is a tipping point?
Absolutely.
We have
No,
Absolutely.
to
we don't
win.
know.
You don't agree we have to win in
We
2026?
don't- That's not what you said. You said it's a tipping point. I don't know. I think we're already past the tipping point. I don't know. I can't see the future. A tipping point on what? That's just your
If
posturing.
we don't win in
which is another thing
2026,
the
things
CIA
get
made
much
up.
worse, is what I'm saying.
You say if we don't win,
It's
it-
all
If
Already
we
bad
don't
for
win in
some of us, Liz.
2026, things get much worse.
What do you mean by much worse?
It reinforces. First of all, you got another 2 years of Trump being able to do pretty
That's
much
what matters,
whatever he
right?
wants with no congressional oversight because, again, the Republicans control the House, Republicans control the Senate, which makes it much easier for the president to push his agenda. So that's one. He's got 2 more years of that, okay? And 2, it reinforces a narrative that MAGA is winning and MAGA is popular and MAGA is a way forward, and that's going to have
narrative does
ripple
not need
effects
facts
down
either
the
way.
line. So my advocacy and what I'm telling you right now is that 2026 is a must-win year because if we win in 2026, if we take back the House and the Senate, or hell, even just one of those, suddenly we can stymie Trump's whole agenda. It becomes much, much harder for him to implement any of these bans or any of these things. We can push back legislatively against some of these executive order overreaches that he's done. We can push back legislatively against a lot of the different things he's doing. We can reopen a lot of the investigations that he's closed on these things, and we need to be able to do this. And so, again, 2026 is what I'm laser focused on this right now because it is the most important thing we need to do. Okay, we need to win.
Right.
So then let's be super
I-
big like
I
a
agree with
Republicans
you.
and not give a fuck
Look,
about
I
who we
agree.
offend.
No, because that's gonna make us lose. I don't know how you understand
serious?
this. This
Go
will make
ask
us
any
lose. We will
Republican
lose
that
if
you
we
know
go
what
to
they
your
like
way.
about
We
Donald
will
Trump.
lose.
What is their answer? What is their
Thank you.
answer?
We're not
Anytime-
appealing
if
to
I
the.
went, the last thing that I heard a Republican that is in my family tell me that they liked about Donald Trump was that he's literally just the guy. Like he's literally, they were like, oh, he's just a bro. That's why I voted for him. I don't really know anything about politics. They're retarded. They're not, this is not like the intellectual
I'm not worried
debunking,
about
like, blah, blah, blah.
2026. I'm not worried about it.
I'm
And I
not
don't
either.
think
I think
Destiny
people
is
are going to
gonna
hate
be-
what's happening.
I don't think Destiny is going to be a reason people decide to not vote. People are seeing nobody likes what Trump is doing. Like he's pulling kids out of schools. He's taking things from people. Nobody is rocking with this. So he's digging his own grave. Like I'm not really worried about us winning 2026. Just like people felt like they weren't in a good spot when after his term with Biden, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. People feel what's happening right now. They're seeing prices go up. They're seeing their friends and families getting deported. Like people are upset, just like they went out to vote when they was upset about Biden.
Hey, I agree with you on all of those things. The only worry comes in is with all of the crackdowns that they're doing with the elections, trying to rig
Yeah.
shit in advance. I think that's very worrisome. So on that front, I'd be worried. Wick, I want to ask you something though. Do you think Destiny is going to be a meaningful arbiter in making people sit home in the midterm elections?
What do you mean meaningful? Do I think he's gonna do I think hundreds and thousands of people are gonna stay home because of singularly because what
Like enough
Destiny
to make
says
a
or doesn't
difference?
say? No, I don't think that. But these elections, especially in states like mine, Pennsylvania, are decided with less than 20,000 votes in many cases, right? Very, very small margins. So even if he just turns away 5,000 people, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, considering how many millions and millions and millions of people are viewing his clips, right? That makes it harder for us. And again, I'm ruthless with this. I don't want to cede any ground. I want every advantage. And if that means I have to disavow bad rhetoric from Destiny to do that, fuck I will. Every day of the week.
That's
Hey,
fine.
Hold on, I'm gonna
Destiny
hold on.
is a
Pause. Everyone, pause. We're coming in at 2 hours. It's getting to be a bit long. I think this is a good time to start rolling into closings. All right, because now I feel like I'm listening to everyone. I've got my own thoughts. I'll share them at the end. I'm not sure if there's. I don't know. I feel like people have their positions and have heard reasonably the other side's arguments. So I'm going to go down the list and I'm going to have everyone. I'm going to give you all. I'm going to give you all the opportunity to shout yourself out, shout out your platforms, and then give your closing arguments, your closing statements. And then, yeah, we'll go through until we're done. Anne, you joined a little bit late. Would you like to shout yourself out, tell people who you are because you weren't here for openings, then tell us what your positions are.
Sure. I go by Leftist Blondie on almost every platform. All of my information can be found in any link tree, in any bio, on any social media platform that I have. I am a leftist, so I have a variety of crazy views. But I think The problem that we're running into is that we are so focused on like appeasing the right, and the right was somebody who never will be appeased. Like I will never just convince, my Republican family that they should vote for Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris is like super kind and sweet and she'll never say anything bad about anyone who's ever died. I don't think that that's going to work. I think there's obviously a difference between like political messaging from political pundits and political messaging from like the Democratic Party themselves. I think the Democratic Party probably needs to integrate with the influencer side, and they're doing that, but they're being really disorganized about it, and I think they need to start working with influencers who are a little bit more edgy, who are going to push the bar, who are going to say, we're going to push back against this. We're going to give them a hard time because these views are ridiculous and they should be shamed and they should be ostracized because that works. It works for high schoolers. It works for adults. That's what got me from being a Steven Crowder watcher to being on the relatively far left, generally speaking. So I think that's what we need to focus on. I think Steven did a fine job just condemning and moving on and being like, yep, okay, well, now I'm not actually going to fully condemn it until I hear Donald Trump condemn it because that's ridiculous and you shouldn't vote for somebody who won't condemn political violence. That's it.
Cool. Thank you so much, Anne. Next, Bex. Beck, would you like to shout yourself out, give your closing statements, and what are your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. My Substack is at unaligned.sh. On Twitter, I am just Bex, and I'm hoping to start making some more content out there. Generally speaking, I think that in terms of rhetoric, we should be pretty ruthless against people like the Tim Pools, the Matt Walshes, these kinds of people. But when we're trying to reach the more normie kind of audience, I think we need to use a softer touch. That's kind of where I'm sitting. I've really loved hearing everyone's perspectives because there are a lot of things that I didn't even think of. So it's been really refreshing, and yeah, I had a lot of fun chatting with everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, am I up next? You're muted, Riley, if you said me.
Crap. Sorry. I'm getting tired. It's late in the Saturday night, so I apologize. Yes, Ethan, you're up next.
All right, thank you. So, yep, I'm officially Ethan. I'm trying to bring some form of masculinity to the left. And like I said, we seem to really be lacking that. In terms of what I think the best strategy is moving forward, something that was asked earlier is it the best idea to bully them, right? And the answer, I would say, probably, yeah, right? Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, all these people, they made their entire careers. They have made millions. They have been so influential based on doing nothing but bullying other people, making them look foolish and humiliating them. But imagine if we humiliated them. That, I feel, would pull every sense of credibility away from them. As for inflammatory rhetoric, if you have the right argument for it, then absolutely go for it and go hard on it. But if you don't, then you're going to shoot yourself in the foot, like what I think happened on Piers Morgan. But I'm officially Ethan, and that's my closing statement. Everyone here is great. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ethan. Up next, Logics.
Yeah. So I just want to say, I think everybody has a different role to play. Like the content creators can't function as the politicians we want to vote in. We all have a role to play in this environment, because if people like Benny Johnson can have a platform, I think that what Destiny doing can only be a net positive. These people just lie like it's like they breathe, and they're still able to be successful. They're still to garner people to come out and vote. So I think there's somebody that's actually rhetorically effective, knows how to debate, knows the information. It may just get unhinged at time. I think they're going to bring in people that may not even be paying attention to what's going on just because of the energy. I don't see people just not voting because they see one person screaming. I don't think that's really how people are motivated or not motivated to vote. But yeah, my name is Logix, Logics on YouTube, on TikTok. There's Logix, Instagram, Ill2Real, ILL, the number 2, REAL.
Cool. Thank you. Yep. Thank you so much. Up next, Politiscape. Politiscape. Do you want to shout yourself out and give your final thoughts?
Yeah. Great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Politiscape TV on YouTube, or you can hit politiscapetv.com to hit all my other links. As far as my closing statement goes, I would say that what Destiny is doing has been effective for Destiny. I think that we do need to be mindful of where we are deploying inflammatory rhetoric. I think when it comes to our politicians, I think they have looked weak. They have looked feckless. I think adopting more of a Gavin Newsom strategy or something similar would be welcome in this particular environment. But I think as far as inflammatory rhetoric goes, as content creators, I don't see an issue with what Destiny's doing. I think he is building his own little army that he's been able to deploy to get people on the ground canvassing and things like that. I think he's been incredibly effective. And so, yeah, I think he should keep on doing what he's doing there. Like I said, politiscapetv.com. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Up next, we got She's Right.
Yeah, she's right. You can support me at shesrightshow.com. I believe that the optics are far less important than memetics and sabotage, which we see in the results. Do what works, do what doesn't work. Play the actual communication game that got someone to the White House. We don't all need the same narrative. We need narratives that work, and we need to waste less time playing to the narratives of these people who have wanted to and successfully wasted all of our time a week after the fact, instead of apologizing for and endorsing and retroactively building their narrative, instead of the truth that these radical right violent extremists must be stopped and must be held accountable for their violence and should apologize and be fired.
Thank you. And then lastly, Wick, you kind of took on the heel role for this panel, so I figured it would be appropriate to have you get last. So you got the final word on it.
Okay, fair enough. And to be clear, I'm not memeing here. This is actually what I believe. This isn't a heel role. I just want to make that clear.
You're all good. And also, thank you for being like a good sport. Thank you all. We're all well-meaning. We all want what's good for the movement.
Yeah, look, fight with me. I like fighting. Okay. I agree. Let's do what works. And if I told you that there was a strategy that was effective 3 out of 4 times, okay? 3 out of 4 times that you would win if you employed this strategy, right? And if you chose the other strategy, you'd win 1 out of 4 times. Which strategy would you pick? I think that most people would pick the 3 out of 4 strategy because obviously I am going to be ruthlessly fixated on what works, not what makes me feel good, not what gets me the most attention, not what gets me the most clicks and views, but what drives people to the polling place and keeps them from trying and keeps a big separation between Democrats and Republicans. People need to see that big separation between Democrats and Republicans. And there's a reason why every single Democrat politician and influencer other than Destiny is doing it my way. It's because my way is the most likely to work. I love you all. Thank you for hosting. It's nice to be a panelist sometimes, not just a moderator. And even though you're all wrong, you're still pretty cool. And yeah, thanks for letting me beat you up a bit. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, Wick. Yeah, thank you all so much. And I guess just to give my 2 cents, because I've been listening to you all for a couple hours, the most interesting things that jumped out to me were, I think, 2 major points. The first, and again, these are just things I'm going to continue to think about. The reason I wanted to host this panel is because I don't have my mind fully settled on this. I think that there's an interesting distinction to explore for people between what influencers should do and what politicians should do, right? It is a lot harder for electeds to be able to go into very toxic or adversarial environments like Pierce Morgan because they have a lot more to lose. They have electeds that they could lose. They have constituents that might vote against them. It's very concrete that they could end up having their bottom line affected. If they say something inflammatory, they might get a lot of views, but they might turn a lot of people against them. Whereas there's at least a reasonable argument I think people should think about that influencers are not affected to the same degree, right? And I think that could create some interesting synergies between how influencers and politicians or electeds differ in their communication strategy. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, and this is actually, that point actually related to something that Logic said. I may know about that because I want to bring that up. And I really like what you had to say about that. And the other thing is that what it means to be effective, right? So there's growing as a social media content creator, right? For content creators, a lot of the time, if you're trying to grow conventionally, you're going to appeal to people who largely already agree with you. That's my expectation. You're probably already appealing to people who generally agree with your views and want to hear more of what you have to say. I think that's something that people should consider, is that inflammatory rhetoric is a very effective way to at least get you in front of new audiences. You got to be careful. You're playing with fire, and you can make a lot of people hate you real fast. But kind of like what you said, Blick, earlier about, what is it, contact bias, or like, how long you interact with someone?
Contact theory.
Yeah, contact theory. If I can get in front of someone enough times, and even if I'm saying stupid shit a lot, I'm thinking about like fucking CTV, right? Like, I don't agree with anything that guy has to say 99% of the time. But you know what? I see him enough and I interact with him enough that I like him, as a personal person. I'm willing to listen to him more than most other people with his kind of views. So I think that could also be applied in the inverse. Something for us to think about. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you all later. People who are watching, visit RileyGraceRochong.com to support the stream and check out Verse and Scribble and all that sort of shit. And yeah, that's all I got. Bye, everybody.
Okay, we're not ending. Okay, give me a second. Switching up. Don't leave, dear viewers. Not yet. I have a few closing thoughts on myself, okay? Right? A few things to say. It's just so frustrating watching this. I feel like the guy, right, that was, it was an oracle named Cassandra, okay? So it wasn't a guy, okay? It was an oracle named Cassandra in Greek myth who was telling the Trojans, okay, hey, that horse, don't bring it in the city. Don't do it. It's gonna destroy you. Do not. Did they listen to her? Unfortunately not. She got torn apart by snakes. Well, sea servants came and ate her, right? But she was cursed by the gods to always be correct, but never be believed. And that's how I feel right now, gang. I really do. I just feel it is very, very clear. If you turn off your emotions and you look at it clinically, you look at how elections have been won in the Trump era even, right, since 2016, and you look at how effective different strategies have been, people have not liked it when Trump and the Republicans have gone more extreme. They have punished them electorally for it. Now, yes, you're always going to have some on the right that are unhinged, crazy. You can't do nothing about, okay? They're lost, unfortunately. But there are some we can win over by being normal again. Make America normal again, gang. That's my advocacy tonight. Make America normal again. Destiny is a very strong debater for our side. And he self-sabotages over and over and over again, and he doesn't need to. He would be much more effective if he did not do those things. He would still get on the crazy big shows. Look at how many people he was able to, or how many shows he was able to get on before he made these edgy boy comments. He would go on trigonometry, or he had the attention of trigonometry, and all these other right-wing, maybe center-right shows would still let him on. So to act like Piers Morgan would only invite him on because of his edginess, I just disagree with that. And it's okay to be edgy in certain ways, but the way that Destiny has been edgy in the cases of political violence and death have hurt him, not helped him, okay? And I don't want to see us adopt that losing strategy. I want to continue to adopt the strategy that every other major politician on the Democratic side has adopted, because that's going to make us win. It's going to help us win. And sure, look, there's limited efficacy to rhetoric. A lot of people will vote on their wallets, right? What's in this thing, right? And if they think it's gonna be make them richer and make them more money, they're just gonna go with that, regardless of who says what or what edgy jokes and things like that. But there is a segment, a cohort that is influenceable, is gettable, is losable, okay? And we have to play to those, right? Yeah. What do you guys think? Did you guys enjoy the show? Did you guys like it? Did you guys have fun? I am hearing the generic plays. You're saying, I wish you'd honestly hear the other side. I am hearing you, but what you're saying doesn't make sense. It doesn't match reality. Let me read some super chats because you guys paid me money and I appreciate it. $2 from Old School say, you guys sound almost like mid-W era Dems. I'm assuming you mean George W. Bush. Alexander Wren for $10 says, Wick, which political shooting have the right claimed as their own from their ideology and rhetoric? They always rewrite the narrative, even you accept it at times. The left never pushes back. The left pushes back constantly. I don't know what you mean. Like, this idea that we've always taken the high road, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? We've always used little underhanded tools and things like that. We are not as bad as the right by any means, especially not as bad as Trump. But like to act as if we've always had like clean hands on this is just wrong. And that's not accepting their narrative. That's just true. And one of the things that a lot of people don't believe us, and a lot of people have stopped believing us, is because we've refused to acknowledge reality. We just have to acknowledge, okay, this happened, but the right is worse. And we lay out how. And because we're able to be honest about our own flaws, it makes them more willing and able to trust us. It works. It's worked before. It'll work again. Maybe it's just because I'm older than most of you, okay? I remember the Clinton era. I remember the George W. Bush era. I remember the Obama era, right? I was an adult in the George W. Bush and the Obama era. I wasn't an adult in the Clinton era. I'm not that old, okay? But I was an adult in the George W. Bush and Obama era. I saw what worked in there. And yes, social media has changed the landscape. That's true. But the same principles still hold. I don't know what to tell you. Like, again, a lot of the left has hurt us because they've been extreme. And this is why even, look, Destiny agrees with me. We push them out because we don't want their harmful rhetoric around us. So why, if you agree with me on that, why would you start just doing more harmful rhetoric on your own? It doesn't help. It only hurts. Okay, sorry about that. $5 from Oreguni. The right needs to denounce bad actors, but the left needs to justify the actions of their bad actors. That is what's being expressed here. $5 from Old School to say, quote, we don't use inflammatory language, unquote. Also, quote, MAGA cultists, unquote. The heart of the left is an angry, spoiled child who are almost impossible to live with. I disagree with you, Old School. Some of the MAGA is cultists. It's just true. I'm just speaking truth here. I'm just spitting when I say that. Not all of them. Not everyone who voted for Trump is someone I would consider a MAGA cultist. That's just not true. Like, I think most of the people, well, I don't know about most, but a large chunk of the people who voted for Trump aren't MAGA cultists. They're winnable. They're gettable. And we can get them back as long as we are seen as more normal than MAGA is. $10 from Lawson Harrison says, people turned against Democrats because social media convinced them that everything sucks when we actually had it pretty good. If we can fix that, I don't know what to do. If we can't fix that, I don't know what to do. That is a problem too. Here, we have multiple problems, right, that we have to deal with. But the right's having some problems too. I don't know if you guys are tuned in, but the right's having their own little battle. James Lindsay versus almost everyone else, right? And a lot of people are being disillusioned by the quote unquote woke right. And that's going to have a fracturing effect. It is. Yeah. $10 from Peak. To say times are different now, my friend. Dem approval rating is in the dumps. What worked in the past is now irrelevant. Voters see Dems as weak and ineffective. They want to see some fight now. I am fighting. Like, to act as if my way isn't fighting, I'm not saying don't fight. I'm saying disavow political violence and then fight, right? So you don't have to fight about disavowing political violence, and instead you can fight about what Trump's doing. Pick the battleground, brother. Pick the battleground. Don't fight on the ground where you're having to be defensive. Fight on the ground where you can go on offense. It works. And look, the Dem approval rating may be in the dumps, but I'm going to cite the poll I just did in the panel on Atlas Intel. It was released today. Democrats, for the midterms, are winning by 8 points. And yes, it's just a poll. And yes, we're still a year away. But that's after Charlie, this poll was taken after Charlie Kirk got. an amazing poll for us. We'll see if it we'll see if other polls released after post-Kirk show similar results. But that's a reason to hope. Okay? You shouldn't get too excited, but it's a reason to hope. Okay? And I want you to guys, if nothing else, to recognize that electoralism is effective. It works. And it's what we need to do going forward. How can we get more votes than the other side? That is what I'm focused on. That is what I'm trying to do. That is my advocacy. That is what I want. How can the Democrats win more votes than the Republicans? Everything else is noise. $5 from Lawson Harrison to say, because the far left rhetoric is based on America bad, and they are just wrong. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Do I want to take calls? I don't know if I do. I'm tired. I don't usually stream on Saturday. What do we got coming up? Gang, did you guys see my conversation with Drew Pavlo yesterday? Speaking of bad rhetoric, Drew Pavlo. I don't like that guy. I'm going to be sitting down with him and Natsa Erudite soon, because Erudite really wanted a piece of him, but she was flying when he came on. So we're going to set up a date and time for that. We don't have it quite yet. Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a panel on the right, and if the right is shooting themselves in the foot with their reactions to Charlie Kirk or not. And we're going to have some great conversations there. On Thursday, we're going to talk about right-wing cancel culture and the docs list and things like that the right-wing has made up. charliesmurderers.com, all that. And it should be fun. Tune in to those two shows. I'm going to keep it a relatively light week next week. We're going to have a call-in show, too, at some point, right? But we're gonna keep it light a little bit. I've streamed a lot recently, and I've made a ton of money, but I'm going a little insane. So I'm gonna take a couple days off. Probably no stream Monday. Probably no stream Sunday or anything like that. So yeah, thanks for coming, gang. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I love you all. Yeah, we're just gonna end this in this stream. I love you all, and I'll see you guys probably Tuesday or Wednesday.